Welcome back to another sode of Tattoos and Jesus.
Another what?
Sode? Little episode?
Sewed? Oh,
Little
episode.
sode?
I was like, you've been doing some knitting? Like, what do you mean
Sewed.
sewed?
Little sode action.
Listen, the amount of dinosaur hate I've gotten in the last week
It's well deserved is what it is.
unappreciated.
Well deserved.
Amy, if you're hearing my voice right now, just remember who butters your biscuits. Is that the saying?
I would
that a
say
phrase?
that needs to be edited out. But if you want to leave it, go for it. So I would say, Sarah was floored. Sarah was floored.
So in response, she decided to set me up.
We thought, he said it online.
There's where you went wrong. You thought.
We thought it said, and well, it does. If you look it
Yeah.
up, it says Peacock. We tried to get you. We gave you our login and everything.
I know.
We were trying to help you out.
I know. It's
I rewatched
ridiculous.
it the other day. It was on TV.
Yeah, and so everybody listening, if you listened last week, I acknowledge I've never watched Jurassic Park, at least the originals. I've seen some of the more recent ones.
And the originals, in my opinion,
I know, I get it. They're the goats. And so I was like, fine, I'll watch these. And, Sarah texts me, Josh's wife, said, here's my login. Go watch these. I log in, and it's Jurassic Park Lego.
yeah, that's all that was on there.
That was it. And I was like, you guys set me up.
Did you start watching the Netflix documentary? No, you didn't.
No.
It's a shame.
I told you I started watching The Big Lebowski, which I'll be honest, I didn't finish, and it wasn't as good as I remembered.
I couldn't even tell you
I
one
don't-
thing about it.
No, I don't know.
Couldn't tell you
I
one
probably
thing
won't. It's very slow moving.
It's a very slow movie. You talking
Yeah.
about it's just the kid, right?
It's not a kid. It's Jeff Daniels.
Oh. Maybe I'm thinking about the Mean Green.
Maybe. I'll be honest. Like, The Big Lebowski is a cult classic. I'll be honest. I don't know that I've ever watched it either. It just popped up, and I clicked on it. I didn't get very far, and then I fell asleep. But the whole premise behind it is Jeff Daniels plays this, like, basically this pothead who gets mistaken for another guy who's filthy rich, who's also named Lebowski. And all of a sudden he ends up in this criminal situation where these criminals come after him for money, but he doesn't have any money. And so then he ends up working for the actual Lebowski, trying to negotiate this $1 million thing, but then he tries to steal the money or something. It's silly, like, it's funny, but I don't know what happens.
Never seen it, actually, now that
Yeah,
I just
it's
looked it up.
not.
But you've seen
I mean, there's some funny. John Goodman's in it.
You've watched that without watching Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
Also,
I watched 20 minutes of it.
Shout out to Amy, Biscuit Lady. She,
Biscuit Lady.
that's what you said, buttered her biscuits.
Oh,
She also brought up a good point.
what? You all right?
Which was only willing to pay $40 to see a real life dinosaur is just dumb. It's just dumb. You can't say that. $40. An IMAX movie theater ticket is like $28.
I mean, I'd go up a little bit. 120, is that better? So here's the way I think about it. I have 4 people in my family. 4. If we were traveling in California,
You're adding stipulations that we didn't even discuss. Okay, we said how much would you pay for, and you're over here paying for our entire family.
that's the thing is, would I come out of my pocket $500?
You individually. You can't take your family. Just how much would you individually pay?
Depends how rich I was feeling. If I had some extra cash in my pocket, maybe 120.
That's such a shame.
I'm just saying.
That's such a shame. It's a disservice to all dinosaurs known to man.
I would probably This is so fake. This is so made up.
What?
This whole conversation.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I mean, I
All
feel
of
like
our
I would be more
conversations are
apt to get a
made up.
dinosaur tattoo than to pay money to go see him.
Which it to me is just wild, wild.
I'm gonna get what's those like really long ones that have the long necks and the long tail and the big bodies like. Is that a triceratops?
No, that's the one that has the horns.
That's the that's the one with the horns. Oh
3
yeah,
horns. Try.
that would make a good
Yeah.
Yeah, that would make a good tattoo.
I want to say bronchitis. It's not bronchitis.
Bronchius.
Brontosaurus or something.
I would get one of those like its head coming out of my belly button tattoo. I mean, not really, but that'd be funny.
I'm gonna remember that, and I'm gonna bring that up as a bet at some point.
Are you?
So just know you've done it. You did to yourself.
Okay.
Anyway, we won't rehash that, but just know that
Okay.
you were.
What? Moving on.
You were
Moving on.
hating
You said you had a question today,
No, no. I don't have a. I mean, I do have a question, but
or
I
a thought.
also
or
have a. I
Yes.
was so I got somewhere along the line. ADD Josh subscribed to Christianity Today magazines,
Okay.
so I get whatever the monthly magazine is randomly.
For free?
I thought I canceled it. Apparently not. So
My guess is you've signed up under multiple emails.
I'm worried that it's under my limestone email because I got it to put in the chapel. So I get it in my house. So that's cool. So I was looking through it whenever I texted you, maybe, or the day before, sometime this week. Maybe it was Tuesday. I was just going through it because sometimes it's got some really cool articles. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty sweet. It is, but it's so funny because the ads. I should have brought it. The ads are so like annoyingly Christian, but these articles are so like deep and thoughtful and less challenge. But then, like as soon as you turn, it's like, bam! Here's your new Bible series on audio tape for $120. Like it's just like it's so contradictory. Anyway, that's not what I was grinding my gears. It does grind my gears, but what I thought was funny was they had 3 or 4 books they were promoting within that,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was a book review magazine as well. Like they do a book review of the year or whatever. All Christian books to me, in a certain realm, evangelical realm, are all different takes on the same thing.
Yeah, the Bible.
No, just like you thought you were following Jesus well. Wait till you read this book. Every single one of them. Like every single one of them is how to do it a different way, how to do it better. What are you missing? Everything. Every single book that was on there was like Jesus as a Nazarene, or I don't even remember. Like I should have wrote the title down, but it was just like this is this. I have no interest in buying this book. Like I have zero interest. Like not a fan was a big one. Radical was a big one. And if you go back and you read it, it like promotes these big things, and then as you read it, they all say pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Just minor tweaks, minor different interpretations, but ultimately it's all about the same thing.
So then tell me, what's the core element of these books that everyone tries to put their own spin on? What is how to be a best Christian?
Yeah.
What is it distilled down to? If we boiled it down to the points that everyone is trying to make in their own unique way. Because you're right. Like, it's funny. It's like you'll have, some famous athlete. I don't know. Kurt Warner's.
Yeah.
How the rules of football led me to a closer walk with Christ.
Right.
Right? How the quarterback room taught me to call the shots of my faith. You know, or you have famous musician. Who's that? Anyway, it doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
get the point. Like everybody's just gonna put. What's it distilled down to? What would you say?
What's your Hail Mary?
That's pretty funny. What is your problem, son?
Pollen. Pollen's my problem.
What are you doing? What are you looking at over here?
I'm gonna read the top books
Okay.
from it just to prove a point, because people will be like, well, I don't know what he's talking about. Book of the year. Book of the year.
I feel like anything other than the Bible is sacrilegious. Am I gonna have to do CPR on you at some point?
I forgot my water. The Reason for Church.
Okay.
Book of the year.
Who wrote it?
Brad Edwards.
I love that guy.
Couldn't be more white.
Hold on. You don't know that he's a white guy.
I'm almost positive.
Because that'd be funny if he wasn't. Okay, moving on.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. That's exactly what I thought.
Oh, that's a.
Exactly what I thought.
Do you need some water?
No, I'll just choke and die. Finalist for the book award. The Gospel After Christ. What? An Introduction to Cultural Apologetics. Finalist. This is just, I mean, every believer confident. Apologetics for the ordinary Christian.
That's a different one?
Finalist.
Okay.
Winner. This one's semi-interesting. I like this one. Jesus and the Law of Moses. The Gospels and the Restoration of Israel within first century Judaism. I like that.
That's actually intriguing.
Follow-up finalists for this category. The Genuine Jesus. Finalist. Paul, Apostle of Grace. Another finalist. Thinning the Veil. Encountering Jesus in the book of Revelation. Reading the Psalms. Like, everything is never enough. Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes hands down my favorite, but the well that washes what it shows.
What now?
The well that washes what it shows, an invitation to the Holy Spirit.
What does that even mean? The whale?
The well.
Like the giant fish thing?
Well as in well. Water well.
What kind of noise does a whale make? All right.
So I'm not going to continue, but the Gospel Center community.
You know we're doing an interview next week with somebody releasing a book.
Yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait. I'm super pumped because what I think I'm setting up is, because we kind of know a little bit about what it is.
Right.
It's going to be a lot better than here's how to encounter
no
Jesus.
Doubt. No doubt.
So they're all the same though. Essentially, they're all like all those finalists are the same. Nobody, like, it's different when it's, hey, this is my story.
Yeah.
And this is how Jesus, like the Kurt Warner example, like, there's a little different than, like, here's my theological take on what you're missing that I know.
So, you know what we could do?
Which is what we do on this podcast, so I'm kind of being a hypocrite, but go ahead.
You know what we could do? So, you know how...
Write a book?
We've talked about this before, yes. But you know how, like, The Onion, the satire website that pokes fun, if you're not familiar with The Onion. But we all have seen people, I'm not going to throw too much shade, they tend to be older, who see an article from The Onion and they think it's true.
Yeah, and they'll repost it.
I know somebody, retired minister, who reposted. And people were immediately like, you know this is satire. Like, this is fake.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is it's so good at making fun of the stereotype. People within the stereotype actually co-sign it as authentic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why. I think that's why some people, it's like, listen, you should look in the mirror and say, oh, maybe I am the stereotype this is poking fun at, in the fact that I thought this was legit.
Yeah. That's fair.
And so sometimes you see, like, you know Bo Burnham?
Yeah.
Who writes, like, funny songs
Mm.
making fun of people. He's got a song out that's, I don't remember the title, but something like a stereotypical country song. And it's a good song. And it just stereotypes what makes pop country music so predictable.
Yeah.
Like, I lost my dog in the fog, hunting for frogs. You know, kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, while I was drinking a beer with my buds on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
Sounds like a
very
good time.
cliche. Well, earlier this year, when the Turning Point halftime show was and Lee Brice performed, like, there was this video that came out that says, show two things that give the same vibe. It was Lee Brice's performance, and then Bo Burnham's completely making fun of country music song. They're virtually the same.
Yeah.
They're virtually the same. And it's like, dang. He was so good at making fun of it, he actually made a song that people would listen to.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is, what if we wrote a
All
satire?
that to lead to.
All of that.
to
I'm just trying to
lead to-
fulfill the stereotype that I live in
Yeah.
as the long storyteller.
Yeah.
What if we wrote a book based on, what if we looked at every book of the year for the last, like, 10 years? Put like, stereotypically lumped all of that information together and wrote a new book with the most stereotypical catchy title possible,
Yeah.
and try to get it submitted for review. It would
I'm
be a
down.
tremendous undertaking, and it would take a lot of time that I don't have, so we're not going to do this.
Right.
But how funny would it be if it was accepted, published, and became popular?
I'm all in. Maybe we can talk to Jeremy next week about getting hooked up with his people.
Maybe. And then the churches call us to speak, and we get on stage, and we're like, well, this book was actually a joke,
Yeah.
and y'all are the punchline. Thank you for being here today.
Yep.
But you know,
That would be awesome.
You know, I think it's Romans where it says something along the lines of, whether in pretense or in truth, the gospel was preached, right? Like, whether from good motive or bad motive, like, God was still honored. I feel like that would be one of those moments where it's like, we were the bad motive,
Yeah.
and then watch something good come of it.
So we were the punchline.
We were yeah.
That's tough.
It's real spinning around on us. But anyway, that would be funny, though, if you could do that.
What would the title be?
Oh, well, that goes back to my original question to you. Like, what do you think the core tenets are that everyone is writing from? I think I know a few.
Just in general?
Yeah, like, all of these books that you're like, these are all, like,
The same.
the same. What are they all, like, what are the points that they're all trying to put their own spin on?
This is how to live your life as a Christian.
Yeah, what are those things?
Oh, I mean, it's gonna point to. In all honesty, I don't even know. Like, part of me feels like it's a lot of Christianese aspects as well. Like, this is what the gospel should do to your life. Like, some of them are like I don't want to bash all of them. I've read them and I've had impact by some of these books, but it's like at the end you always feel motivated yet empty-handed. Like,
That's a good point. A lot of times it's like really specific, ambiguous challenges.
yes.
But on the flip side, there's a book frig, it's 7 something. Anyway, sometimes though I feel like when they break it down too much, it can become legalistic. I have to do these things in
Yeah.
this way,
Yeah.
which I think is also not healthy.
Right. Yeah.
So which is better, like ambiguous challenge that you can adapt to your circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
or so I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to pull back on that. I think that's probably a better approach. Is recognize everybody's different.
Yeah.
These are the principles that need to be present.
Yeah.
Apply them to your format, the way that you learn, the way that you function, the way that you live.
Yeah. Which it could be different. To say different levels of Christians is also sounds really weird, but just different stages of life or seasons of life they're in could be like I would read that beneficially early on, I guess, in my Christian walk.
Your
But
Calvinist journey.
but yeah, I mean they're honestly all shells of the same thing. Of like, I can read it, I can look back into the books that I've read that are like that, and I can always remember. There's a few points throughout that's like, oh, that was good, but ultimately it's all the same. Like it's at the end of the day, it's.
So let me.
This is the gospel.
You know.
So that could be a chord. This is the gospel. This is what. This is how it should change you, whatever that how is, and you need to be better at this, or you need to understand this more.
Yeah.
To some degree. What were your answers?
Well, I'm trying to think. Yeah, a lot of times there is a statement of purpose or a statement of theme
Yeah.
fleshed out through the way our daily life looks.
Yeah.
And so the statement is, I agree with you, is almost always we need to take it needs to become more real to us. I'm going to try to use Christianese.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to become more real to us that the God of the universe humbled himself and sent his son to be a savior for us, and that apart from him we are eternally destitute, right? And so you need to take that reality needs to register with you.
Yeah.
And when it registers with you, your life is no longer about yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And a life that no longer is about itself and is pursuing God will look like you need to spend time with God both in prayer and in study.
Yeah.
Right? It means that you need to be investing and loving on your family, your friend, the Judea, Samaria, the ends of the earth. Right? So you need to be loving on the people around you, showing Christ to those, and surrounding yourself with a local church.
Yeah.
And getting involved. That's pretty much what it's going to say.
The Tattoo Jesus by Marty Height.
The Tattoo.
And that you just laid out the plot.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Does that sound kind of like a...
That sounds like every...
how-to guide?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, though. When you said they're all kind of come down to the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
is counseling any different than that?
Not really. Like, as far as books or...
Well, like every psychologist
Oh.
is just observing the same truth about humanity, but then applying it to his own lens. So if we approach your dysfunction from a CBT perspective, we're going to try to understand it through thoughts and behaviors.
I would say outside of the big ones, because those are different. Outside of the big heads.
But a lot of I would call it like maybe self-help books.
Yeah, self-help's all about
flow.
Yeah,
They have that same flow to them.
yeah, they have the take care of yourself, exercise. Like they all just regurgitate the same thing that we already know. That we feel like we need to buy.
Be healthy physically and have a healthy perspective mentally, and your life will be better.
Right. But we don't want that.
So what do you think they're really getting at? So
who is they? The self-help or the Christian people?
Because here's the thing, I think that in life, I think our spiritual life is more significant than some of the other areas of life, but I'm going to put them all kind of on the same playing field. I think a lot of these books are actually trying to change the same thing in people, but it's something that I don't know that you can change in people,
Mm.
and that is um, motivation
Mm.
or buy-in. Right? Like I think a lot of these Christian books are, have you felt disenfranchised in your faith? Have you felt distant from God? Have you felt like,
Yeah.
God wasn't actively working in your life? Here, do these things.
Yeah. Not a fan.
Um,
The not a
is
fan.
that the name of the book?
Yeah, not a fan was huge, but it's about like don't be lukewarm.
Yeah.
Essentially, like all of them boil down to
Yes.
like
And so, which in the Christian world would be like, don't be lukewarm.
yeah.
In the secular world, it was like, are you living a life that doesn't make you happy?
Yeah.
And it all comes down to take ownership of who you are,
Mm-hmm.
where you're going, and how you get there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it all comes down to, is ownership. But I honestly don't think that's like there's exceptions to the rule. Always. There are moments in life that change us. But by and large, if you meet someone who demonstrates very little autonomy in their life, they're going to continue to demonstrate very little autonomy in their life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of these books are trying to awaken someone to a deeper relationship, ownership, motivation to engage their faith.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of those people are just disengaged for other reasons. I don't know.
Well, I think this might be the topic we actually go to, because this is a thought I've had before. Like, no, it's because you're right. The buy-in piece is true. Like even with the lukewarm, like
Because what I'm getting at is, if I want to change, any of these books will work.
Yeah.
Because I want it to work.
Yeah.
Which is same in therapy.
Same as the Bible.
Right. I tell people this all the time. Like, what I'm telling you will work because you want it to work.
Yeah.
If you come in here and you're looking for me to change your want to, you're probably going to walk out disappointed because you're expecting me to work a miracle.
Yeah. Or give some type of perspective to help click that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. No, I think that's points to. Well, let me make this statement first. Let me chill my ADD out. One big thing that I think people don't realize, this could be a fun topic at some point in life, but this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, by the way. But I'm going to bring it back.
Oh.
You we may have mentioned this, the lukewarm comment
From Revelation.
If you're not, be hot or cold, lukewarm, I spit you out of my
Yeah.
mouth. People think it means lost or saved. That's common.
No.
A lot of people think that. A lot of people think cold means lost. A lot of people preach, don't ride the fence, either be in or out.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not what it says at all. It just means you need to be, like you said, you need to be all in one way or another. Like, the cold are saved and the hot are saved. The lukewarm are not.
Both are saved?
Both are saved.
Is that just because you think everybody's saved?
No, it's both are saved. Because I was listening to some like Jewish interpretation of it or whatever.
Why?
Like
Random Thursday with
yeah,
Josh.
It was in that whole thing of like, how do the Jewish people understand certain scriptures? And the guy was like, a lot of people.
That was actually Book of the Year last year.
It was. It said
Jewish lukewarm.
Look, you got to be hot or cold, which means you need to be all in, or you need to be out. And lukewarm really is not. They're saved, but they're not doing well. Like that's our interpretation, but it's really the opposite. Anyway, wild. Coming back to this, pose a question to you after all of this, because I don't know if this is right or wrong, but with the self-help books, with the Christian books we just talked about, even with the Bible,
Yeah.
we read it in a way to fix ourselves or provide motivation or whatever that we just talked about. But it's always from a mindset of we're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Church is that way sometimes. And we know in therapy that is a lot of the root causes of why people feel the way they feel.
Mm-hmm.
So why does the answer also bring that up, or are we looking at it wrong? Are we approaching this in a wrong way? Because every time you read the Bible, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, this is triggering some thoughts here.
Oh boy.
This is why this triggered a train of thoughts that I had earlier this week that I forgot to write down to do a podcast about. So this is good. I listened to a worship song. Okay.
Was it in Jewishness?
I listened
Was it
to
in
a
Hebrew?
Jewish
What Jewishness?
worship song. I listened to a worship song that I used to listen to all the time back in the day.
Okay.
And
Was
what
it written by Twyla Paris?
who was
She was a big dog. Darlene Sheck.
Will Reagan in United Pursuit, maybe?
What the heck? What song is it? Sing it.
What is it called? Let It Happen, I think. It was a live version.
Nobody. What song is that?
It's by United Pursuit. Anyway,
Let It Happen.
it's a really good song. And I listened to it, and I recognized that I felt bad about myself. And then I started to think, how much of Christian life have I experienced that I started feeling bad about myself?
No.
Sermons, worship, like everything is provoking this.
I know a lot of
I'm
people
not
that's what
worth
they
it.
want to feel.
I know, but it's not. It can't be right.
I've had people tell me, they're like, when I leave on Sunday, I want to feel like I've gotten a spiritual spanking.
Yeah. Like, are we?
Like, you want to be a Pharisee and you want to be whipped by Jesus with the temple? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the goal.
But I did that a lot, and when I read too, like how am I finding ways that I'm not fulfilling
Yeah.
whatever, and it creates this like
You're bad, God's good, be more like God.
yeah, it creates this like
Hold on, you just said the song was really good.
it is a good song,
But
but
it made you feel bad about yourself.
I realized then that I really enjoyed it, but my connection to it was I really enjoyed it when I was younger because I was like, man, I suck, but God is good.
Yeah.
Like we have this we have to beat ourselves down to this state of mind to see worth for God.
Yeah. So let me say this. I say this carefully because I think there's a lot of caveats to what I'm about to say.
Uh-huh.
So if you disagree, I probably disagree with me too. But what I would say is I think oftentimes whether we think less of ourselves because like whatever you just said, that dynamic, or whether we think too highly of ourselves that we don't need God,
Mm-hmm.
I think at the core they're both an ego issue.
Mm-hmm.
They're both an issue of pride.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm trying to think quickly in my head here. I don't think there's anything wrong in having a humbling experience of realizing, hey, Marty, don't think too highly of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not perfect. You make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
There is a perfect God who is present
Mm-hmm.
that wants a relationship with you and wants you to be better, and he loves you despite yourself. Like, there is a positive version of that realization.
Mm-hmm.
The unhealthy version of that realization is I'm a piece of trash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky that God saves me,
Mm-hmm.
and I should go home and like flog myself.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is it can be an egotistical response. Because what it's saying is it's weird. Like, I've talked about this before. It's hard to articulate in a way for people to be like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like, it's so important for me and how I define myself
Mm-hmm.
that I'm just going to let my ego be wounded
Mm-hmm.
by that realization. Does that make sense? I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it clearly, but
Yeah.
on the other side, too, I think we gravitate towards like, no, I'm great, and I can make this life. I can. And it's also this ego thing of like, yeah, God's there, like, but I've got this thing figured out pretty good.
Mm.
Like I've heard people say, like, who do you think you are? That when the God of the universe says you are loved, you are forgiven, and you are accepted, for me to say, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like that's an egotistical statement to say I have the right to define myself differently than the God of the universe defines me. Who do you think you are?
This could be a book.
Tyler,
How to interpret the gospel correctly.
Yeah, we don't need to write that.
Why not? Everybody else does. So, what's interesting though is the message or the truth in quotation marks that we go by puts us in one of those spots. Like, it either puts me in shame because I'm not good enough, as I've sinned. I've been like, it's almost like this self guilt beating attitude. Because in all honesty, people will know that. Like, you can probably picture 1,000 sermons you listen to where they're like, "Hey, you need to do better."
Yeah.
But there's another side of it that's like, "Oh, I'm doing better. I'm a Christian. I'm saved. I'm on top of the world." And I think that message is going to create one of those things. I don't think there's a healthy way to get it.
Unfortunately, I think the vast majority of messages I've heard, I say this cautiously, because I've had some good teachers in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to throw shade at them.
Yeah.
But I've heard more than a handful of messages, seen more than a handful of books that are, I'm going to say they're well-intended from good people.
Yeah.
But what the message I take away is what you're saying is, I need to do more. And if I do more, I'll be more like Christ, which is a workspace mentality. It actually helps me to not focus on God at all.
Yeah.
It's putting the pressure on me to say, hey, Marty, if you make sure that you do your quiet time, and if you grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, it better be in the morning.
Right.
If you do your quiet time in the morning, no less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Do your quiet time in the morning for 30 minutes. Be an active tither. Attend church. Be part of a small group. Volunteer somewhere where there's needs.
Yeah.
And live a life on mission. Like, you do these things, and you'll feel more Christ-like. Anybody can do those things. Anybody. Thousands of people a year read the Bible that have no interest in Jesus. They're just curious. Like there's, and so what ends up happening is, I think that's why people come back, end up feeling defeated, and the shame creeps in. Because like, I did what you told me to, and I didn't feel like God showed up. I did what you said. Like, I've tithed. I show up to church 90% of the time. I do a Bible study. I do a quiet time. But I still feel depressed, or I still feel like God is distant from me. I still feel like my life is falling apart, and it's hard because I don't necessarily think those things independently are bad.
Yeah.
And I think they are good to do.
Yeah.
So how do you walk a tension that says, if we want to be Christ-like, then we need to put ourselves in a position to cultivate that, but not let it creep to this is on you, do it, and God will, you'll have a better walk with God. And if you don't, that's your fault. Do it better.
I think the message has to change. Like, I think this is, and I know I criticize a lot. I'm a part of all of my criticisms for everybody wondering. But like, I think we buy in to this reality that is not true, which is we are suffering Christians that are trying to not be Pharisees. I don't know. Like, that's kind of the core of a lot of it is like you're going to experience suffering, which means somebody's going to tell you no when you ask to pray for them, which is kind of a load of crap. Or, like, hey, don't be too religious or too legalistic or whatever. But that's hardly really touched on. And I think all of them are messages that are irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because at the core of it, and this is where, man, this goes back to a podcast we did.
Oh, I was going to say Genesis. Genesis.
I don't even know how long. Whenever we did that series of like, what is the kingdom of God? What is the gospel? We did those two elements.
Yeah.
And it changed the message to, hey, there are actual things, and there was an actual mission that Christ was doing outside of trying to convert people. He actually never cared to convert anybody. But that is our sole mission as Christians in the church. And so I think we're just sitting here spinning our wheels on something that's not relevant. People would disagree because it'd be like hell, heaven, and that's the whole argument. I get that. But like, I feel like we're missing out as a church, as a global church, on the true mission of what Christ was trying to do with this message. And it ends up putting us in that cycle of, oh man, like I didn't do well enough, I didn't do good enough, or like, because a lot of times people are going to approach anything in that matter. It's hardly ever the opposite. Somebody who is egotistical or prideful really just has a hurt ego, like you said. Like it displays differently, but it's all the same. They still don't feel good enough, so they need they feel the need to overcompensate. And so part of me is like, why don't you just, you can't diminish the value of a person because God created that person, whether they're saved or not saved. But we feel the need to do that so that they switch what they believe in.
Yeah. Like, I'll shame you enough to change.
Yeah. Even though what I'm telling you is not true.
Yeah.
Like, but I know
whoever said bullying didn't work?
I mean, that's essentially what most wars were about.
So I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said, but I think it all comes back to one thing. One thing.
We need to write a book.
And whether or not these things work in a person's life all comes down to one thing. Whether or not how important or how influential a person's faith is in their life all comes down to one thing. The entire trajectory of life on earth comes down to one thing.
Oh, I mean, you've really been hyping this one thing.
I know.
We're all on our edge of this, or on the edge of our seat.
Surrender.
2.
Whatever. It all comes down to surrender. Surrender. It's if you go back to Genesis, right? There's this story of control being taken, right? All because of this one question, and I think it's the same question that leads all of us into: did God really say? Did He really? It's doubt, and in that doubt, there was decision to say, you know what? I'm going to make a decision and not be submitted or surrendered to the authority that I've been given, that has been placed over me, right? And when I did that, sin entered, fractured, right? But that's what it always comes down to. Because if you meet someone whose spiritual life is growing, you meet somebody who, yes, are they studying Scripture in some capacity, spending time in prayer in some capacity, engaging with fellow Christians in some capacity, almost always, because it comes naturally. Like, in many ways, it's the overflow of a life that's like, I am submitting or surrendering to God. Like,
But what does that mean? I think we're hitting on what we talked about earlier. I think
because
that's
it's this,
right.
because
But I
it's the
think what it
same.
means is all these books.
Because all the books are trying to get you to engage in the behaviors, hoping it leads you to surrender. But a lot of times, what happens is instead of it leading us to surrender, it leads us to an expectation of God that's not happening, and we end up frustrated. But if somebody said, "Hey, man, what does but it's hard because this is what I'll tell you. You know what really gives me a cluster headache is I've almost never seen someone get to that like spiritual moment of surrender and they say, I did this on my own. It always feels like there is a spiritual influence that took them on that path. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Which really screws with my theology a lot with the whole God is sovereign and like predestination and crap. So I don't know how all that fleshes out. But the vast majority of people that I've met that have had a spiritual turning, they were like, for whatever reason this day, I could just see it clearly. Whether it be from a point of brokenness or pain or just clarity. I realized that I was in need of a relationship with God. And like there was this scales falling away moment where they could see it clearly. Which is hard because I think there's a lot of other people that are desperate for moments like that and they never have that cathartic moment of realization, and I don't know how to wrap my mind around that. But at the end of the day, like it comes down to surrender. I mean, but this is true in other ways. Like, go work with addictions. Like, in the vast majority of cases, when it's like, hey man, what was your turning point? It's like, man, I just had this moment of brokenness where I just said I can't do it anymore, and I surrendered to recovery, basically. The 12 steps are built on surrender. Admit that I am powerless over my addiction. Admit that I need something greater than myself to pull me out of this pit. Right? Go work with a nutritionist, with somebody that's trying to get healthy for whatever reason. And it's like, what did I have to do? I had to quit relying on my own devices to try to will myself to health, and I had to surrender or submit to what other people had for me, and when I did that, I found freedom. There is freedom in surrender. How we get to that point, I don't freaking have a clue how. How to generate that moment for somebody, I could make millions if I could generate it. But at the end of the day, like true change comes from people having this like moment of brokenness, and that threshold's different for everyone. Like I work with people all the time that there's lots of people that may have experimented with drugs or started misusing alcohol, but they have a low threshold for their willingness to tolerate that, and all of a sudden they realize they were doing it. Like, man, I don't want to be this person, and they change. You never hear those stories because it was just a lower threshold. You hear the stories of the people like, no, man, I was riding that thing all the way down. And so I think it's still like people, the story of surrender is true for lots of people. Some people are more sensitive to it and are more reflective in willingness to enter into it. And so it doesn't take as much prompting, right? And sometimes I think we're jealous of those people. But the truth is they probably are more willing to surrender holistically, like just across the board, right? They're more sensitive to, not my will, yours be done. Whereas there's some people it's like, I know it says my will, your will be done, not mine, but I really like my will. So it's just harder. It takes more. Or maybe they have some wounds or some traumas in the past that make them not want to trust a heavenly Father or to trust the circumstances to play out correctly. Like there's lots of variables that influence that. What you thinking?
Beautiful. So it was a beautiful speech, but I
What?
disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out if you were about to say, "Yeah, that sounds great," or you're like, "That's dumb." We'll go with that's the dumb.
I don't disagree in the message. I disagree in the way it's framed. Just in the sense of like,
Well, go pray more. You'll come around.
I'll next week's about me surrendering to
My theology.
these books. I don't like the word. So I've been what I've been
word?
what I've been doing
Like
is thinking
capital
through.
W-O-R-D? Like
No,
the
I don't like
Bible?
the word surrender. Sorry.
You don't?
No,
I love that word.
I don't like it
I love it.
because I think it speaks to what I was saying earlier a little bit of like it rips you of value. Because essentially what surrender is saying is what you currently are is not worth it.
That's not true.
That is true in a way.
No. Surrender is solely, in the spiritual sense from which I'm saying, maybe I should define this, is solely an ego statement. It's
Right.
an ego
Yeah,
statement.
yeah.
That's
No,
it. Like,
I'm with you.
I'm surrendering that I can no longer be the boss of this life or this area
why?
of life.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I get that, but why? You have to surrender because you're doing it wrong.
Or I'm not the person that I want to be. But that's true. Look at addiction. They are doing it wrong.
Yeah, but I don't know
it's
that.
It's not a reflection of their core value, but like.
But you wouldn't tell them to surrender as the answer, because you're telling them to surrender to something they might not know. I would say.
I've told that. I told that to a dude a couple months ago. I said he's in addiction, and he's in recovery now, and guess what? It had a lot to do with surrender.
Surrender to what?
But this is what I told him. I said the battle that you face right now is a battle of surrender. Your will versus the life that you know you need for yourself, but you're not willing to let go of the current life yet.
Okay, hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. I think what you're saying is right. I think the word's wrong in my mind.
Okay, well, what word would you use there, Tonto?
Empowerment.
Empowerment, the opposite of surrender.
But with the same message. You're empowering them to see what they're doing is not working. Therefore, they have choice to choose this. It's essentially the same thing.
Well,
but
then just
to
agree
say,
with me.
But surrender rips. Like it's because I'm thinking it from a counseling perspective.
No, if surrender is like forgiveness, it's just letting go.
Of what?
It's just of whatever the thing is. It's letting go. Like, name something.
Well, yeah. But it's not only surrender. How about that? It's not only surrender.
Yeah.
It's not only surrender. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm no longer going to be the God of this area of my life. And I'm going to entrust it. So if it's nutrition, I may be surrendering to my health coach and say, fine, if you tell me to do it, I will do it. I am submitted to that process. So yes, it's choice. But I'm saying I'm no longer going to say, no, I've got this. I've got this figured out. I've got this worked out. I've got a plan in place. In the same way, because it's like forgiveness. Forgiveness is another example of that. Forgiveness is, holding on to. It's like, let me screw you by screwing myself, by holding on to these toxins, hoping that kill me slowly. Surrender, saying, you know what, I can no longer hold on to this burden that's not mine. I have to surrender it. I have to let go of it. And it's like, I don't need there to be an other. Like, God will hold you accountable, or you can deal like that's yours. I can't hold on to it for me anymore, though. I gotta just let go.
Which leads to, so it's both and.
Never.
It's both and.
It's never that.
Because that leads to empowerment.
Yeah.
That leads to
Yeah,
you,
but
you
that's where I
feeling
think,
empowered.
Shout out David Platt, countercultural. But I think that's kind of the heart of the of Scripture is everything. It's opposite. Like in Christ, things are opposite as what they feel like to humans.
Mm.
Like we would say that pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like build yourself into the person you want to be. Whereas surrender says, I have to let go and trust my growth to something else. But in doing that, I do become empowered and grow.
Right.
But the source of the strength is not necessarily me. It's the power I'm tapping into, whether that be spiritual
Right. Yeah.
or
I'm with you.
educational
I'm with
or like it's the power I'm tapping into, but we try to be self-sufficient. And we try to say, well, if I don't like something about myself, let me build back better. Let me just. And it's like, no, if you had the strength to already be that person, you would already be that person.
Kinda. I'm with you. Like, I'm not disagreeing. I think the surrender is necessary, but I think it leads to empowerment. I don't think the answer is surrender. I think people are after, because essentially what you just said is to a certain degree, some of what we experience as Christians, like, oh, I've been doing it this way wrong. Even as Christians, we still beat ourselves up for that. Like, that's the thing. Like, we're stripping ourselves of understanding who we actually are in doing that, which is we're made in God's image. Going back to the garden, we have the power of choice, which is a divine quality. That's why it's so powerful. And I understand that, you give that back over, but you can't. There's literally no way you can give choice back over. It's already done. And so I guess for me, it's like you empower that and you shift that power to choose for him more than take it away. Does that make sense? Because you can't take it away.
Yeah.
You can't take away choice. You can't take away that. Because I think the surrender thing locks people up to feel like they can't make a decision or they can't make a choice because they're worried it's going to be wrong or they're worried it's going to be okay, I'm going to surrender myself. I don't know what I'm surrendering myself to. And I have to wait for something, a verse, a prayer, or something, even though we're consistently making choices and decisions all the time.
No, okay. I think I'm tracking.
It's
with
both
you.
and. I'm with you.
It's a little finger hug.
Yeah, it's a little both and.
and.
But does that make more sense?
Yeah, because because you're right. Because one of my biggest criticisms of humans in general is this really ties into last week when we were talking about agency.
Yeah.
And the ability we have free will. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Is sometimes like surrender doesn't mean powerlessness, and it doesn't mean we quit living.
Mm-hmm.
But the source of our living, the source of our empowerment changes.
We're surrendering what's important.
Yeah.
Which is us.
Because I'm with you. Because my challenge to people is like, no, listen, if you don't like your life, make changes.
Yeah.
If you're actually feeling spiritually destitute, then do something different.
Yeah.
Don't just say God has abandoned me. Don't just say,
yeah,
I don't like this, but this is the life I've been given. This is no, like,
yeah.
Yes, this is life you've been given. What are you going to do with it? And so I do think there is that. I think you're right. There's this tension there between, and that's where it's weird is all these variables are true, but I guess sometimes the order of the operations makes a difference.
Yeah. Or we hyperfixate on one or the other. Like, Even going back to your example, self-help is all about empowerment. But you're empowering what? I could ask the same question for my answer. Where surrender, it's like, yeah, you're surrendering, but you're surrendering to what? Like, what are you surrendering? I think it puts people in a state of having to trust everything that their pastor says or the church says or they read. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it puts you in a fragile state. Whereas if you're surrendering just what's important, okay, I'm not important. You're important. Love God, love your neighbor. That's important. I'm surrendering what's important, and I'm empowering myself to live out that
Right. Yes.
instead of it being like it's not about me. And that's
Yeah.
the consistent data like that. It just creates too many issues, I think, without the flip.
I'm with you. So what's your final takeaway today?
I have no idea what this podcast has been about. That's my final take. Like, I have no idea how we got here. I just thought about that a second ago. I was like, where in the world did we
Yeah, I
get?
don't know.
Like, how did we get on
So
surrender and
here's-
like, I don't even know.
So
Thank
here's
you,
wh-
everybody who rode this
it's
roller
the,
coaster.
it's the
with us.
dinosaurs. Here's what's interesting to me is typically when we finish a podcast like this, part of me is like, I don't want to go back and listen to this because it's going to be hot garbage. And those are usually the ones people are like, dude, that was really great. That was a good, like, that was, and I'm thinking, dude, like, wasn't great in my head.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see
Hey,
what happens.
give us the feedback and let us know. Like,
Yeah.
hey, text us and say, hey, I don't know
just
what
text us
just
back
happened.
and be like, I'm no longer surrendering to this podcast. Like,
Yeah.
it is hot trash.
and I'm empowering myself to take you off of subscribe.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap up. We got work to do. Anyway, until next time, y'all behave yourselves.
Holla.